Barnaby had found something wonderful at the base of an old tree, a fallen log, long and thick and hollowed out by time. Its opening was a perfect dark circle, like a doorway to a secret room. The log had been there for years, slowly decaying and hollowing out, creating the most perfect shelter for a small, sleepy creature. He approached it slowly, his small paws stepping carefully over damp moss. The log was dry inside. He could tell by the warm, woody smell drifting from the opening, a scent of old wood and quiet safety. The smell was the most inviting thing, dry and warm and full of the promise of comfort. A smell that told his body it was safe to rest here. The hollow log rested on the forest floor, half covered in soft green moss, its entrance framed by tiny ferns. It looked like it had been waiting for someone exactly Barnaby's size to come along. The opening was just the right height for him to crawl through. Not too big and not too small. A doorway designed by nature for a sloth-shaped guest. Barnaby crawled inside. The opening was just wide enough for his small body, and the space beyond was perfectly dry. Smooth wood walls curved around him like a warm wooden cocoon. The inside of the log was a perfect tube, worn smooth by years of insects and small animals and the slow passage of time. Every surface was polished to a soft smoothness. The inside of the log was warm, warmer than the cool night air outside. The old wood held the day's heat like a memory, releasing it slowly into the hollow space. A gentle warmth that wrapped around Barnaby. He could feel the warmth seeping into his fur, thawing the cool dampness that had gathered during his journey through the rain. He turned around slowly, his body fitting snugly inside the tunnel. The curved walls pressed softly against his fur, not tight, just enough to feel held, like the log was giving him a wooden hug. He could feel the walls on both sides and above him, a complete enclosure that made him feel perfectly contained and perfectly safe. Inside the log it was dark, but the most comforting dark, the kind that feels like a blanket. Barnaby could see a soft circle of moonlight at each end, 2 gentle windows framing the night outside. The circles of light were small and distant, like 2 moons at opposite ends of his wooden universe. One where he had entered, and one where the log continued further than he could see. The wood smelled wonderful, old and dry and slightly sweet, like the most peaceful cabinet in the world. Barnaby pressed his nose against the smooth wall and breathed in the woody scent. The smell was deep and complex, layers of age and decay, and the faint sweetness of dry rot. A fragrance that told stories of all the years this log had lain on the forest floor. He shifted his body, and the log held him perfectly, every curve of the wood matching every curve of his small frame, a sanctuary built by time and rain and patience. The hollow space had been carved not by tools, but by the slow work of decay, by insects and fungi, and the gentle passage of years, all of them working together to create this perfect shelter for a sleepy sloth. Barnaby listened to the sounds inside the log. The hollow space amplified the gentlest noises. A distant bird call echoed softly. The wind outside made a low humming sound, like the log was singing. The wooden walls acted like a sounding board, turning the smallest sounds into warm, resonant tones that filled the hollow space with gentle music. The wood creaked occasionally, the tiniest sounds, slow wooden sighs that happened every few minutes. Each creak was warm and familiar, the log settling around him, adjusting to its new sleepy guest. The creaks were the log's way of communicating, of saying that it knew he was there and was making itself comfortable around him. Barnaby's eyes grew heavier. The sounds of the hollow log were a lullaby, wooden whispers and gentle echoes, the safest, most enclosed feeling he had ever known. The log was a sound world of its own, a place where every noise was softened and warmed and made gentle, where the outside world could barely reach him, where only the softest sounds could enter. Barnaby curled up inside the hollow log, his body completely surrounded by warm, dry wood, his head resting against the smooth, curved wall, the two moonlight circles at each end glowing softly. The circles of light were growing dimmer as his eyes adjusted to the darkness. Or perhaps the moonlight was fading. Or perhaps he was simply falling asleep. The log held him through the night, a wooden tunnel sanctuary on the forest floor, keeping him warm and dry and perfectly safe. The old wood humming its quiet song, the creaks and whispers and echoes, all blending into a single warm note of comfort that would hold him until dawn. Barnaby slept, tucked inside the most natural bed imaginable, a hollow log that had waited years for exactly this moment, to cradle a sleepy baby sloth through the deepest, most peaceful night. The wooden tunnel holding him like a treasure, keeping him safe in its warm, dry embrace. The two circles of moonlight slowly fading as the night deepened, and and the little sloth drifted deeper and deeper into the most perfect sleep of his life.